Yeah, I hope I'm not being unfair to John Sirasani. I just think that, if you make a claim like he did that he's the best blackjack player who ever played the game, then you're sort of setting yourself up. It's kind of like red rag or whatever. It's one of those things. I mean, I would never even think about making a claim like that. I don't feel qualified. All I know is numbers. I know that I can beat these games. I've showed it in demo after demo after demo, going back God knows how long, and I still wouldn't even think of making a claim like that. But I guess he's in showbiz, and maybe he's just made the decision that the way to impress people is to tell a big fat lie. Anyway, coming up is an analysis of some of his play, about 750 rounds, and he did better than I at first thought, but still not very well. And I just want to emphasize that I do make mistakes from time to time, and I always try very hard to fix them. I find them in the end. When I find them, I own up to them. And anybody who's been following me, there must be 4 or 5 people who've been following me for a while. They know that I do fuck up from time to time, and I fix it, and I try to be as transparent as I possibly can. That does not apply to most of these guys, including John Sirasani. They show us what they want us to see, and they hide what they don't want us to see. It's called cherry picking, I believe. Maybe it has another name in Las Vegas or wherever, but it's not playing straight with us, that's for sure. And then, of course, there's the simple fact that they face no jeopardy. I think maybe John does because he doesn't have a huge audience and he doesn't get a hell of a lot of views, unlike Vegas Matt and John's buddy, Mr. Handpaid, Jason Bulkey. Or is it Bulkey? Bulkey? I don't know. Anyway. He's in a bit of a pickle right now, isn't he? With the cat he set among the pigeons, but that's something else. So later. Well, all right. It's been quite a ride with King Sirasani. He's unlike any blackjack player I think I've ever seen. Pardon me. And I'm not sure quite how he came to believe what he seems to believe. I think I'm the best that ever played. I assume that he's referring to blackjack, maybe something else. But certainly in this sample, which is 735 bets, near enough 750, but anyway, not a hugely representative sample, but significant. And I think the most important thing to notice about King Sirasani is how much his final outcome depends on the AV, the actual value. There's there's lots of different acronyms, 2-letter shortenings, abbreviations of various terms that apply in these house games. So as far as I'm concerned, actual value simply means that if you were betting a single unit on every single round, then this is the result that you would have. You would go all the way down to -7, and then you'd go all the way up to +20, and then you'd start to bloody fall in the toilet, and then up here you would get a little burst at the end, which would put you back in the more or less value 10. So, but this is the thing that gets me. I mean, this is a guy who is entirely dependent on whether he wins more bets than he loses. When he loses more bets than he wins, he's in the toilet. When he wins more bets than he loses, he makes a bit of money. And he's, in that sense, in that way, he's exactly like all the other professional losers on YouTube. They all do great when the cards fall their way, and they fall apart when things go against them simply because they're betting randomly or they're betting way too tight a spread. To just summarize this lot here, and I know that the vast majority of people out there in YouTube land don't give a tinker's toss about reality, about numbers, about any of that stuff. They're in it for the jollies, the thrills, the excitement. I don't get how there's any excitement watching people who basically can't lose. They can play like total prats, like Vegas Matt and many, many others, Bobby Rivas and almost all of them. Well, actually, no, not almost all of them, without exception. And they throw money around like it's going out of style simply because they've got this golden safety net. They know that at the end of the day, or at least at the end of the month, they're going to get a big fat check from Google. And in Vegas Matt's case, it's at least $500,000 a month across the year. So that when he shows us his year-to-date loss number, it's a month's worth barely, And here we are. We've just finished the 8th month of the year, so he's doing all right. Thank you very much. And that's just YouTube income. Never mind all the other deals that he's got going, all the other whatevers. He's got his online thing with FanDuel, which may be over actually, because now he's doing something with, what the hell is it called? It's got a funny name, but it's just another online operation. At least he's not running after, I think it's called SpinQuest, the one that everybody else seems to have signed on with. But all of that is completely irrelevant. What I'm trying to do is to just point out to you, the 3 or 4 people who will watch this, that in this particular sample of 735 bets, 316 wins, 351 losses, okay? That's a gross negative AV, or a house edge, of minus 5.2%, which is a killer, and which, players like King Sirasani, Champ Sirasani, whatever he is, king of the world, would just not be able to survive. They can't do it because they're betting randomly, they're betting stupidly, recklessly, drunkenly in some cases. They just they just can't stay ahead because of the way that they bet, and they don't care because they've got all that money coming in from other sources. But anyway, things like successful double downs and splits and so on change that gross number minus 5.2% into a positive 1.2%. Okay, now this is King Sirasani. His final value here is, says it's 18,200, which doesn't make sense to me, but I'm going to go and look at that in a minute. But according to that, he came out alive. The algorithm for pattern betting came out almost 40,000 ahead against the same 735 outcomes. And let me just stress that it's exactly the same. So that when he surrenders, then algae surrenders. When he does whatever. The one thing that I won't tolerate is that when he takes even money for blackjack, which he does from time to time, I penalise him for that, but I will not penalise the algorithm for that, because there's no way in hell that I would ever take even money. It's ridiculous. It's insurance, and insurance is a crap bet. And Sirasani, King Sirasani, should know better. But he does some weird stuff from time to time. He will stand on a shit hand against a dealer up card of 7 or more from time to time. So he does some weird shit. But it's his money. He can do whatever he wants. All I'm doing is just saying, this is the guy who claims to be the best blackjack player that ever played. And he's crap. I'm sorry. He's crap. But anyway, in that regard, he's no different than Vegas Matt and all the others. They're all in the game to entertain the peanut gallery, to throw all kinds of crap, never to show anybody how best to manage their money or how best to win. I mean, you just watch Vegas Matt, who's the big dog, so I go after him more than anybody else. He'll get runs of 7, 8, 9, 10 wins in a row and do nothing with them. And he's thousands behind on table games. I mean, it's preposterous. I just don't get it. But anyway, his money, his choice. Same as with what's his face, King Sirasani. So let's go down here. Now, what I show at the top is a loss to date of 26,700, and that's based on all the bets in this column I, and all the bets in column T, which is when he breaks off into maybe that's where the problem lies. When he breaks off into silly bets, multi-bets, multi-hand bets. And it could be that that's where the error lies. It should be T68, probably. So that's my bad, and I'm embarrassed about it. It shows him with a very slight win. Can you believe it? 7,200, because this one was double whammied against him. So that's not good. I'm going to leave all this stuff unedited and leave it in, because I do believe in transparency. The others do not. The others cherry pick their wins and losses, and they hide what they don't want you to see, and so on. So in order to maintain my integrity, if only with me, then when I fuck up like I just did there, I'm going to let you see it, because what I want you to know is that I do make mistakes from time to time, but I fix them. There aren't mistakes that I don't see, because I always find them in the end. I mean, it's absolutely guaranteed. So, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a few of his more recent things, and then we come down to the big one, where I tracked him for 10 shoes. This is King Sirasani still, of course. His average bet here was 1,600. He lost 6.6 times his average bet. Algy's average bet was 154, quite a bit less, 1/10, right? Less than 1/10. Algy won 8.5 of his average bets. Come on down to the next one. Let's see now. I'm calling him JC Goat, greatest of all time, because he's King Sirasani according to his own self-coronation. Average bet 2,000. He lost 6.8 of those this last time. Algy was 123, and Algy won 9.3 times her, could be a girl, I don't know, average bet. King Sirasani here, average bet 2,400, lost 0.2 of one of those, so not too much. Algy's average bet 120, won 18.4 times that. Here we see JC Goat, average bet 2,674, winning a little less than half of a single average bet. Algy was at 137, won 7. And we go down again, and we get King Sirasani, average bet 2,850. He lost nearly 10 of those, 9.5 of those. Algy didn't do great, average bet 1,312, 1.7 of one of those, so not fantastic. That's the 875 down here. What else have we got? Go down to the next. To me, this has been absolutely fascinating, because he really is an extremely odd player. It takes quite a bit of putting up with, to be honest, because he just waves his arms and bullshits and slurps strong drink and all the rest of it all the time. I think they're the slowest shoes you're ever going to see, because he talks so much and just inserts his personality into what he's doing, which is fine. I mean, if he's got a big audience, he's certainly got a bigger audience than me. I can count my audience on sometimes less than the fingers of two hands, and sometimes fingers and toes. I think the most I've had is like 80 something. But I want to say something here, and that is, I do not promote my channel at all. I'm absolutely leaving it alone. I'm concerned only with content right now, building that up so that when I do decide, if I ever decide to promote it, to spend money promoting it the way that Vegas Matt and all the others do, then I'll have a lot of material for people to sift through if they're suspicious of my accuracy and honesty and transparency. Down to shoe 7. Um, JC Goat went all the way, average of 4,200. He lost nearly 6 of those, 5.8. Algae's average was 367. Algae won 3.5 of those for a total of 1,288. Number 8, what do we got? This time King Sirasani did pretty well. He bet 4,700 on average, and he won 3.1 of his times his average bet. Again, Algae was at less than 1/10 of his bet size, 5.8%. So that's decent. Next one, coming close to the end of the whole thing. Oh, what happened? Where's 9 gone? There it is. I don't know why I skipped that. That's very odd. Supposed to be a little tag in there to stop that from going wrong. Oh, I remember. Okay. Damn it. Like I say, I make mistakes from time to time. So there's number 9. Again, he had a winner there. He won 8,500, 5,000 to 22, 1.7. An Algae bet a tiny fraction of the greatest of all times average bet, 190, and won 1.6 of those. So he won 8,500 and Algae won 313. Oh dear. What else we got here? Oh, that's not right. I've got a little problem here. Let me just fix that, because it's hard to read that thing there. So forgive me while I stop the clock. Okay, as usual, my apologies. Actually, before I adjusted to include all of these nasties, these extra bets that these showmen, as I suppose they are, showboaters, performers, like performing seals, working very hard for the casino business to drag in more idiots, more punters, more suckers. I had him at a slight plus, and that's why this was not properly formatted. If you look here, he lost 3,000 in these 10 shoes, and the most ridiculous thing is that he lost 29,000 on these extra bets, these silly multi-hand ventures that he went into. And in my experience, over many years of playing in casinos in Nevada, over many years, nearly 3 decades living in Nevada, I know that spreading out to more shoes, more bets than one, is just dumb. The only people who can maybe claim that it's a sensible plan are card counters, who say that by spreading out and betting low on multi-hands, then you shuffle the deck, basically, bleed out a bad clump of cards, and then as soon as you see an improvement, you drop back to 1 bet and you hammer it, bang. I saw a guy do that very successfully, a guy who called himself, what was it, MG, I think, MG21. I don't know, I think that's what he called himself, and his stuff disappeared from YouTube. I'll be back in just a second. All right, that's better, I tell you. But look at King Sirasani's action here. He lost 3,000 on these 10 shoes, according to my numbers. According to his, he made 10,000. Now, I don't know what to tell you about that, because I am meticulous about writing down his every bet, including obviously the silly bets, the extra bets. And I've been back through my numbers. I guess whatever. I mean, like if he wants to say he won 10,000, just like if he wants to say he's the best blackjack player in the world, then that's up to him. Freedom of speech and all that stuff. I have him as losing 3,000 against action of a million six, and an algae won nearly 16,000, 7% of action of 227,000, which is a hell of a lot less. It's actually 14%, a little over 14% of King Sirasani's action. So, what can I tell you? Back to the top. Oops, it does that to me sometimes. Just doesn't want to speak to me. Okay, so JC Goat overall in these 747 bets for him because of the extras. His total action for the whole lot, not just the 10 shoes from Red Rock that I analysed, but the whole lot that I've done so far. Total action 2,082,000. Algae's action is 370,000. Sirasani's win is 3% of his action. Oh, sorry, it's not 3%. It's 0.3% of his total action. He was exposed 73,800. Algae made 39,625 against considerably less action. Overall win 10.7%, which is about right. That's what usually happens. JC Goat spread from 500 to 10,000, 20 to 1. Algae spread from 25 to 12,800. His biggest bet, 512 to 1. And I cannot overstress how essential it is to understand that you must have a huge bankroll and spread as wide as you possibly can. And every time you hit a table limit, go somewhere else and find a layout, a table, a game, whatever, where you can bet what you want to bet, not what the casino wants you to bet. Because you have to remember, the casinos do their best to control you. They feed you free cocktails, which of course everybody pays 5 times as much for as they would at the bar. They tell you that you can bet from X to Y, or X to Z, beg your pardon, for some of you. They try to control you, but they will tell you, well, we don't decide how much you should bet. We don't decide when you should bet. We don't decide anything. Of course they do, but they use your psychology against you, our psychology, okay? So that's the name of that tune. As my former friend and now long dead Robert Blake used to say. What the hell was his name? Michael somebody or other was his real name. Anyway, this is the big difference here. 0.3%, 10.7%, exposure of 73,800, 74,000, exposure of 5,000, and that's the end of it, really. I mean, go back to the chart up here, and you see that King Sirasani was entirely or almost entirely dependent upon the actual value, wins and losses in actual sort of like just up and down terms, whereas pattern betting's algorithm just kept plodding on to see a final win of nearly 40,000. So that's that, and I'll see you next time.